This is it, kids. This truly is the internet hotspot. This is the www.place to be every Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Provided, of course, I'm not on the road somewhere being a low-budget rock star or otherwise engaged in the pursuit of rock and roll happiness. But basically, by and large, generally speaking, you can set your calendar by it, baby. We're talking about Tent Talks Tunes. Yes, it's happening right here, right now, as promised, as threatened, as guaranteed by yours truly, me, Malcolm Tent from Danbury, Connecticut. I am just a media spotlight hog, and I want to hog this entire internet right here, right now, for this latest episode of Tent Talks Tunes. Let me put on my peepers here and get a nice close-up of my shiny forehead as I reach over to the monitor and make sure that I am indeed on live. Because with this internet thing, you never know. You never really can tell. Things definitely are not as they seem. Neither in real life nor on the internet. Where's the refresh button on this thing? Boy, I tell you, every browser's got a whole different way of doing things, and it's very annoying. Well, I see apparently people are tuning in. Oh, there I am. Looks like I'm live after all. What do you know? Yep, there's Alan and Clinton and a few other people whose names are not revealed to me on my Facebook screen. There's Per from Sweden. Hello, hello, hello. I wish I had the ability to give frequent flyer badges to all of you guys out there who tune in, all you guys and gals who tune in regularly. James Pogo being one of them. And James Pogo says, with pleasure, I love Metal Machine music. James Pogo, I'm with you. It is my favorite Lou Reed solo album. I've talked about it before on Tent Talks Tunes. I don't think I've ever devoted an entire episode of it, but I have definitely talked about the merits of Metal Machine music. And by and large, I really do not like Lou Reed's solo recorded output. I don't think Harry likes it either. Hi, Harry. Harry's in here making what's becoming somewhat something of a somewhat less than rare appearance. Michael Pilmer is in here. Michael Pilmer's got a leitmotif that I subscribe to. It's Cats Not Kids. And so if you guys want to see some other great internet action, tune into Michael's show. He's on YouTube every Thursday live at 7 p.m. Michael, do I have the hour right on that? Please post a link to your YouTube channel and let people know where you are, bro. Michael Pilmer's a good spud. Glad to have you on board there, Michael. Adam Zisser, speaking of spud men and spud was, we got Adam from Atlanta, GA, a man who's very much in tune with his inner devolved self. Oh, Harry, you're not showing the best part of you to the people. Although I'm sure there are some people who would think that is the best part of you. Oh, look at this guy. Always, always stealing that spotlight that I was talking about a second ago. I guess Harry's going to perch on the shoulder like he typically does when I'm walking around the house trying to do things like wash the dishes and sweep the floor and, open the windows. Like whatever sort of household jobs I got to do, I usually have with this guy perched on my shoulder. My parasitic twin, but I love the little guy. Y'all hear that purr? Listen. He's got the purr that registers in the measurable decibel region. There's Michael posting his link. Good man, Michael. Thank you very much. So yeah, man, let's get this episode of Tent Talks Tunes rolling, shall we? As y'all know, I like to begin every episode by checking the bulletin board and then by checking the mailbox. And then we get down to the grimy, dirty, nasty business of talking tunes. And, well, Harry, I love you, little guy, but you gotta launch. Because in order for me to effectively check the bulletin board, I need both hands. So we're going to take you and gently toss you away. Everybody say bye to Harry. Bye. He's a very persistent cuss. He'll probably be back at some point, knowing him. So yeah, gang, first let's hoist whatever it is that you're sipping off of. Mine is the copyrighted Yay, almost stereotypical gallon of Danbury tap water to you, my frantic fans and loyal listeners and vivacious viewers. Pear in Sweden's got a cat on his lap too. Pear, you know that means we all want to see pictures. Got to take a picture of the beast and post it because we like to swap cat pics here on Tent Talks Tunes. It's one of the things that the internet is good for, is looking at each other's cats. So yeah, man, the bulletin board. We got a lot going on here. We're going to start with the most recent event this very Saturday, approximately 72 hours from now in Danbury, VFW Hall number 149, the Danbury Record and CD Expo. It's Connecticut's longest running record collectors swap meet. I am the co-promoter of it with my friend Noise in the Attic. And we've been doing it since 1997, and we got a room full of dealers coming to the VFW Hall number 149 in Danbury. They're all going to be set up with tables full of records, tapes, CDs, memorabilia, some cheap, some expensive, some rare, some common, but all of it worth taking a dig through. I personally am going to have three tables, something like that, full of stuff. I'm bringing twice the number of 12-inch LPs that I usually bring. I'm bringing twice the number of 7-inch singles that I usually bring. I'm bringing twice the number of high-quality, budget-priced cassettes and CDs that I usually bring. And I take pains to point that out. I don't bring thrift shop junk. I do not bring yard sale leftovers. I bring stuff that these days would be called carefully curated. Guaranteed to be in mint condition and all good stuff. $3 for cassettes, $5 for CDs. And probably a full table of TPOS merch. So, Danbury, this Saturday, May 6th, the Record and CD Expo. Come on down and talk to me in person across a table full of records, which I do believe is truly my natural habitat. It's a good thing, baby. Let's see, what else is going on in the future? Well, not too many things in the immediate future after May 6th, but we do have some exciting ANTiSEEN business going on. You've heard me talk about the 40th anniversary show, which is occurring at the Ground Zero in Spartanburg, South Carolina. 40 years of Destructo Rock being celebrated with our opening acts, Sweet Georgia Brown and Joe Buck Yourself. Tell me that's not a triple threat, triple header, man. But before that, we just got a gig added to our calendar. Check this out, kids. June 22nd at the Masquerade in Atlanta, Georgia. Fear, with special guests, ANTiSEEN. Yes, we've been added as direct support to what is, I am told, Fear's only East Coast date of the year. It is my understanding that they have been flown in specifically for this show, and when it's done, they're going to fly right back out to California. So, if you want to see Fear, there's your opportunity to do it, kids. June 22nd at the Masquerade in Atlanta. The almighty ANTiSEEN will be on the bill. So, make sure you've got your body armor. Make sure you might have an explosive containment unit, because when these bands hit the stage, brother, it's going to be volcanic. Volcanic! Alan Versapellis, who is a volcanic artist of his own, has just said that Fear rules. Yes, they do rule. We love Fear, but we're going to make them work extra hard. Because that's our job, baby. That's the way we like to do it. June 22nd. Woo! So I think that's basically it for the bulletin board, other than my usual reminders of my Discogs store, my eBay store, and my Bandcamp. Because I live to sell, and I sell to live. And I love to live, and I live to love. And it all gets entwined with this stuff that we call physical media, records, tapes, and CDs, and music. Oh, we love it, we love it, we love it. Adam Zisterman, you're in Atlanta. I would certainly hope that you will probably be there. I know I definitely will be there. Right, and we've checked the bulletin board. Let's check the mailbox. The mailbox is another very exciting hip, hop, hep, and happening place to be. You saw it at the very beginning of Tent Talk Tunes, my mailing address, Malcolm Tent, P.O. Box 3626, Newtown, Connecticut. 06470. Send me stuff, and I will talk about it most likely here on Tent Talks Tunes. And if I have anything to send you in reciprocity, I will do so. Don't know if I always do, but hey, I at least make the effort. First thing we got here is a mysterious, tightly sealed package from, gotta put the peepers on here. Hey, it's upside down. Moose Roberts. Moose Roberts from Bristol, Tennessee. Moose said that he was sending me some CDs. Let's take a look at them, shall we? The Million Mile Scissors are not appropriate for this job, but the 10,000 Mile Box Cutter is very appropriate to this job. So here we go. Taking great care to go slowly and deliberately in opening this very well sealed package. I mean, he told me they were CDs. And we can guess by the shape of the package that they are CDs, but let's just see what kind of CDs they are. I am fascinated, endlessly interested by the artistes who are out there plying their craft, original singer-songwriters and bands and musicians and people who say that there's no such thing as good music anymore. I must heartily disagree. You could go back in time to any era in musical history or human history, and one thing will be true: the bad music and the bad art and the bad culture will outnumber, outweigh, and outflank the good. It doesn't matter if you're in 2023, 1923, 1973, 1969, it doesn't matter. The classics are in the minority. So, yeah, there's plenty of good music being heard, but just like always, you got to fight to find it. And sometimes I'm fortunate enough to have people sending them to me at P.O. Box 3626 in Danbury, Connecticut, or Newtown, wherever the heck it is that I am. All right, here we go. The Fury and the Heat. Don't know if that's the band, but I guess it is The Fury, and the title is Heat. Looks like the layout of an old Rolling Stones album, which means I'm already predisposed to like it. And here we got The Hanging Eyes. Ooh, that looks pretty good. Yes, Moose plays guitar and vocals in that band. Oh, and there's Moose Roberts himself. An album called Delaney Blue. And another Moose Roberts solo album, Blood Bucket Bastard. Very alliterative title there, Moose. I like that. And the Monkey Paws, Araña, featuring, as we've guessed, Moose on guitar and vocals. Moose, thank you so very much. You've given me plenty to listen to on those long, long drives to Charlotte, North Carolina, as I go down to take care of business, like rehearsing for Fear, rehearsing for the 40th anniversary show, recording, all kinds of stuff. Cheers for filling my ears. And I'm going to take a second and lean over here again because my feed appears to have stopped and I can't see if people are commenting or sending likes and thumbs and stuff like that. And I need to know. I need the feedback. I got to know what's happening out there. Okay, here's a package. This is something I actually sent away for this because I, like many people out there, oh, look at all them hearts and thumbs and the occasional frowny face. Ha ha ha. Any reaction's a good reaction. All right, we got to get the Million Mile Scissors for this one. In my business, which is buying and selling records full-time, I am always looking for bargains. And I love shopping for bargains, and a lot of that stuff is done on the dreaded internet marketplace. And I found something that's not musical at all. This is not a musical-related thing. I know that we're talking tunes here, but on several episodes of Tent Talks Tunes in the past, I've talked about my absolute love for coin collecting. I love vintage coins, especially American, sometimes European. I love ancients. I love medievals. I love paper money. And the ones I love are the ones that have actually seen service. I don't want a mint condition, perfectly preserved bauble in a plastic holder. I want one that's been around the block a few times, you know. I want one that's got some history behind it and dirt under its nails, you know, coins with stories. In fact, I'm sure you guys won't be able to see any of the details of this, but I have laying on my desk right now an 1846 U.S. large cent. And if you can see it at all, you can see it's pretty worn out. It's pitted. It's partly corroded. The back of it is almost totally oxidized. This is not the kind of coin that's going to get $1 million anywhere, but it's a real, genuine U.S. coin that was spent on penny candy in 1847, or maybe a newspaper, or maybe it was dropped in the cup of a busking musician. I mean, who knows? It's been around. And I just love the fact that this thing exists. That really floats my boat. So I happened to find, by the description of it, what looked to be like a very well-worn, borderline abused, but still somewhat intact note, a banknote from 1861. Yep, this is it. Check this out. An actual Confederate note from 1861. It's a $20 design that was only used in 1861. And I really love this because, as I might have mentioned before, when I was a little tiny kid, my grandma sat me down on her knee and she broke out her hope chest. And in her hope chest was actually this very U.S. large cent and some U.S. 2-cent pieces and a U.S. half dime, and also the Confederate money that her, I believe, great-grandfather was paid serving for the state of Georgia at the end of the war. So that's what really, really kindled my interest in both history and coin collecting. So the bug has got me. So when I saw this note offered at what was like a really, really, really cheap price, I had to go for it. 1861s are pretty hard to find. 1864 notes are really common because towards the end of the war, the South was printing literally carloads of what was essentially worthless paper money. But in 1861, the government had just moved to Richmond. These notes were still redeemable in Confederate bonds, and a lot of the issues from 1861 didn't survive because they were redeemed. They were redeemed for bonds, and people typically didn't keep them. So I guess somebody who was, I don't know, loyal to the cause or a souvenir hunter or whatever actually had an unredeemed 1861 note. It's definitely pretty worn out, but in my opinion, that makes it really cool. So that arrived in the mailbox, and the inner numismat in me is just jumping for joy. I'm gonna get the jeweler's loupe and the magnifying glass and study this thing very, very carefully later on tonight. So that's pretty cool. And then one more item in the mailbox that we got here. This is from the unimpeachable president for life, Jeffrey K. Clayton, who on Tuesdays has his vlog, I guess they call it, his streaming Facebook show called Break On Through. You get that live every Tuesday at 5 p.m. on the official ANTiSEEN Facebook page. And that's something that me and Jeff Clayton and Michael Pilmer all have in common. We just love to talk about music and things and culture, and we love interacting with everybody out there and seeing who's got an opinion on what and bantering back and forth. It's fun. It's fun. It's almost as good as real life. So, of course, I was able to lose the box cutter. I've just been sitting in one place, right? You've not seen me move. I have not moved one iota. I'm still sitting right here. I'm still just, kind of waving my arms around madly. I've lost the box cutter. I don't know where it is. I have no idea where I put it. There's no guarantee that you guys even saw where I put it. It's lost. It's gone. Luckily, the Million Mile Scissors are here at the ready and ready to serve. My main dog, Zach Hembre, is tuned in right now from Hembre and the Infidels. We played a couple real good shows with them recently in Atlanta and Charlotte. Always a pleasure to share the stage with Hembre and the Infidels. Hembre, you got a link to any of your stuff, any of your degenerate rock and roll? Post it so the people can see it. They need to know. Brian Swirsky is just tuned in. Brian Swirsky from New York City. Brian will be set up at the Danbury Record and CD Expo with 2 tables. I believe one will be filled with degenerate punk rock. And I believe the other one will be filled with something else. Clue the people in, Brian. This is your forum. Let them know what they can expect from you at the Danbury Record and CD Expo. So what did I get? In the mail from the unimpeachable president for life, something very exciting. We've been talking about this for a very long time. It is the actual test pressing of the brand new ANTiSEEN full-length LP entitled Great Disasters from our pals at TKO Records. They are ANTiSEEN's US label, and they have a pressing plant called Cascade. And there it is with the official Cascade labels. This is the brand new full-length studio LP. My first ANTiSEEN full-length album on which I play bass guitar on all tracks. I contributed lyrics to some of the songs, musical ideas here and there. But this is my full-length ANTiSEEN debut, and now here it is. It's on vinyl, kids. It's official. It's real. And you know that once the test pressing is in hand, the regular pressing can't be too far behind. Alan says he can't wait to hear it. Me neither. I'm going to pop this sucker on while I've got the jeweler's loop looking at that old Confederate note. So I'll have a good soundtrack to my study and my scrutiny. Ooh, yeah, we worked pretty hard on that record, so I'm very happy with the way... I'm already happy with the way it's going to come out. I already know it's good. Cheers to us. All right. I will also pull your attention to the fact that we have two brand new releases on TPOS, which will be making their public debut at the Danbury Record and CD Expo. Profanatica full-length LP recorded in 1991 by yours truly. I know there's been some debate over the issue, but I'm going to state it boldly and bluntly that Profanatica were the first black metal band in the US of A. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. It's America's first ever black metal band. And this is stuff recorded right at the dawn of their existence in the early 90s. Full-length LP for the first time ever. It's been out on CD and cassette. Now it's on LP. On TPOS, mama. And also, I see that the word degenerate has popped up a couple of times. What and who could possibly be more degenerate than good old G.G. Allen? This is It's Not the Money, It's the Mission 7-inch single on TPOS. It's been out of print since about, 2016-ish. Complete live concert recorded at SUNY Purchase in New York State. Yes, G.G. Allen and the Disappointments live at an art college in New York with, if you open up the sleeve to the inside, voluminous liner notes written by me, because I'm the guy who promoted the show and recorded it. So you can read and learn and burn, baby, burn. This will be debuting at the Danbury Record and CD Expo. All right. You've taken care of business. Let's talk tunes, shall we? I promised to talk about some record show scores, and the only thing more fun than promoting a record show is attending a record show. You can flip the coin and say the only thing more fun than attending a record show is promoting a record show. Love them. So I went to one last weekend in New York State where I ran into Brian Swirsky, and as usual, I'm usually buying for the store. As I keep mentioning ad nauseum, I make my living by buying and selling records. I guess nowadays you would call me a flipper. There's actually a term for it. I flip records. We used to call it record dealing. I guess now we're record flipping. To me, the term flipping sounds kind of crass. Because to me that implies that you buy something just to turn it around as quickly as you possibly can for maximum profit. I prefer the term deal. I like to make deals with people. I like to deal with people. I like to hook people up with the music that they want and need. I view myself as a conduit, as a wire, transmitting music and artifacts. So, yeah, I go there primarily to shop, to find things that I can resell. But, of course, being the collector, I'm not just a dealer, I'm a collector too. I usually pick up a couple of things for myself. And that almost inevitably leads to me having something to talk about to all you folks here on Tent Talks Tunes. So everybody wins. Everybody wins. Let's drink draft of Danbury Tap to being all winners. So yeah, if there's any band out there who does not need any help in the promo department, who does not need any talking up, it's the Beatles. What can I say? There's nothing to be said about the Beatles. I love the Beatles. And when I was a young lad, just really starting to get into record collecting and, exploring some of the more esoteric venues of record collecting, I learned about the existence of the bootleg LP. And I know for a dang fact I've done at least one episode of Tent Talks Tunes on the bootleg LP, which can of course be found on my YouTube channel, which you do need to subscribe to if you haven't already, just saying. So one of the earlier ones I picked up at a really cool record shop in South Miami, Florida, was this mysterious and enigmatic Johnny and the Moondogs Silver Days. The first thing that drew my attention was this picture of the extremely young Beatles with Pete Best on drums. And the incredible hairdo he was sporting as opposed to the hairdos of the other guys. Pretty sure I'd never seen a picture of the Beatles with Pete Best before. So this was like right off the bat, big news. The cover alone made it worth picking up. And then I looked on the back, and it had a live show from 1963, which was pretty cool because almost every Beatles boot up to that point that I'd ever seen was from like 1964, 65, 66. So a live show from 63 was intriguing, really intriguing. And I asked the guy behind the counter if it was any good. This would, by the way, be the great Rich Yoloha of Yesterday and Today Records. I said, Rich, is it good? He said, yeah, it's good. It's real good. So Rich Yoloha was a man I could trust. I plunked down the $10 for the record, brought it home, dropped the needle in the groove, and was blown away. Not only was it a great quality recording, but the performance is just smoking. Anybody who has the audacity to claim that the Beatles can't rock, listen to this. If you can't listen to this, then look up the show itself. The Beatles, live in Stockholm, Sweden, October 24th, 1963. I'm pretty sure it was a radio broadcast. The Beatles in Stockholm, October 24th, 1963. You want to hear some effing rock and roll? That's the one. And it's rounded out by, as my pal Grant Den just mentioned, how many are on here? 11 red-hot BBC performances from 1963 to 1965. So I had my original copy of this. When I moved north to Connecticut to open my record store, Trash American Style, a lot of my record collection was sacrificed. I had to dig into my personal record collection, put price tags on them, stick them in boxes, and start making a living, which is what I did in 1986. And so I've always been thrilled over the intervening years when I'm occasionally able to repurchase something that I had to give up in order to open up the store. And I got it at a really dang good price. I paid $10 for it, which is exactly what I paid for it in 1985. So talk about an inflation meter, dude. And it was just as good as I remembered it. So yes, bargains to be had at the record show. If you're able to look deep and wide enough, you'll find them. A couple other things I found. This, oh boy, this is something I wasn't looking for at all. I was not looking for either of these records, but when I saw them, I had to do it. Had to do it. And I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. If you ever been there, you've seen something that you didn't know you were looking for, but when you saw it, you knew you were looking for it your entire life. I had a couple of those at the record show the other day. It was really something. And Mike Lesser has just tuned in from Vancouver, BC, and Mike's an expatriate Floridian. So Mike, your timing is perfect on this one. I never knew that I needed it, but when I saw it, I knew I needed it. Now, we all know my roots in South Florida music scene, specifically the punk and hardcore scene, and as usual, I refer you back to my YouTube channel. You can look up any number of episodes of me talking about South Florida punk. You can also find a epic multi-part interview with Mike Lesser, former lead singer of the Yay Cowboys in Bondage, talking about Florida, the punk scene, the music scene, the personalities, all that good stuff. So anyway, when I first got into music big time in South Florida in the early 80s, the name I kept hearing over and over again was Charlie Pickett. It was Charlie Pickett this, Charlie Pickett that, Charlie, Charlie, Pickett, Pickett, Pickett. So, of course, I had to know who the guy was. And for me, the deal was sealed one night when the great Eric Moss, on his radio show Radio Free Living Room, played a version of the Flamin' Groovies' Slow Death by Charlie Pickett and the Eggs. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Charlie Pickett and the Eggs' version of Slow Death is better than the original by the Flamin' Groovies. Utterly unrepentant in that opinion, I will die on that hill. Love the Flamin' Groovies, but Charlie's version blows theirs away. So right off the bat, man, all right, I knew that all this talk about Charlie Pickett was legit. And so I, of course, bought every record I possibly could by him. And his debut single was called If This Is Love, Can I Get My Money Back? Was that the debut? No, his second single was If This Is Love, Can I Get My Money Back? The flip side of which was Slow Death. And great A-side. And I'd always heard that he had covered If This Is Love, Can I Get My Money Back? Off a version by his cousin, a guy named Mark Markham, who had released a 45 way back in the 60s in Florida. And, you know, never really thought about it too much because Charlie's version was so great. It just never really occurred to me to actively seek out the original. So imagine my surprise. Imagine my shock and awe when I was digging through a box of 45s at the record show and boom, oh, see, now I've just totally, I screwed up the story because he's covered a couple of songs by Mark Markham. The other one being Going Back to Marlboro Country, which appears on the Cowboy Junkie O-Go-Go 12-inch. See, this is the beauty of live TV. You get all kinds of mistakes and errors and flubs. It's like scars on fine leather when you watch Tent Talks tunes. See, Josh Styles knew what I'm talking about. Marlboro Country. So Josh Styles from Rebel Rouser Records in New York City, you know the glee that I felt when I unearthed an original, not an original, but the RCA Victor pressing of Marlboro Country by Mark Markham and his Jesters. Oh, yes, that's the original, kid. And the B-side being I Don't Need You. This, my friends, is what we call a red-hot double A-side burner. Holy cockamole. Yeah, Marlboro Country, great. I'm going to go ahead and say that I Don't Need You, even better. And that's what made me get it, because my pal Barry Soltz, a.k.a. Barry Soul, who's also an expatriate Floridian, he was selling records there, and I said, should I? Shouldn't I? He said, wait till you hear the B-side. I said, you know what? Barry knows his stuff good enough for me. So I did it, plunked down the dough, and you know how a lot of times you buy something and you get buyer's remorse? No buyer's remorse here, kids. It's been nothing but buyer's delight. I've played this thing twice a day since the fateful Sunday 3 days ago when I bought it. This record kicks ass, and it's got a direct line to my Floridian history as a young punk rocker. And I'm told that there was a regional pressing of this that predates the RCA pressing. I don't know much about it, but the RCA one, good enough for me, and probably the only one I ever will see. So, Mark Markham and the Jesters, Charlie Pickett, Marlboro Country, I'll be going back. As Robert Smith would say, again and again and again and again. So, I plunked down for another rare 1960s white label 45 RPM single. And this led directly to the main topic of tonight's Tent Talks tunes. Now, we've all heard me go on and on and on about the Velvet Underground and how much I love the Velvet Underground. Even if Metal Machine Music is the only solo Lou Reed album that I like. True fact, nothing ironic, nothing snarky, nothing clever about that. Hands down, my favorite Lou Reed solo album. I really, honestly don't care for hardly anything he did as a solo artist after the Velvet Underground. But I love Metal Machine Music. Love it. I can put it on and get a lot of joy from it. Of course, I love the Velvet Underground. And because, getting back to the topic of bootleg LPs from 1980s, when I was first getting into the Velvets in the early 80s, information on them was very thin on the ground and very hard to find. Because you got to remember, pre-internet, all information was catch as catch can. If you didn't see it in Cream magazine or, Hit Parader or Rock Scene or whatever, if you didn't see it there or in the record bin at your local record store or someone didn't tell you about it, it was going to be extremely hard to find out about it. So when this LP started showing up in the local record stores sometime around 1981, I was extremely intrigued because you basically could not get a Velvet Underground record at the time. Maybe some very expensive import reissues of White Light, White Heat, but regular domestic pressings of Velvet's records, forget it. They've been out of print for years and years and years. And there was always this mythos about the Velvet Underground. And, the first moment I heard the Banana album, that was it. I was converted for life. As Bob Eaton says, the polygram reissues were gold in the 80s. That's right. When they came out in 1986, that was a big news. The Velvet Underground albums finally reissued in 1986. You didn't have to go scrambling anymore. They were budget line reissues too, so that was really cool. One of the very few things any stupid major label ever got right. But anyway, there was this long, hungry gap until those reissues came out. And so albums like this were primo coin of the realm. And this one in particular, on side 1, encompassed 4 very weird and unusual tracks. Psycho Lanny, The Ostrich, Sneaky Pete, and You're Driving Me Insane. Long story short, those are all records made when Lou Reed was a faceless, anonymous hack musician toiling away at Pickwick Records in Long Island. Once again, I draw your attention to my YouTube channel because I've done at least one entire episode about Pickwick Records and the wonderful, wild, wacky world of exploitative, cheesy cash-in records that were made strictly to make the fastest amount of money as quickly as possible off of whatever current musical trend was happening at the moment. Lou Reed was one of those guys working for Pickwick Records. If they said, well, okay, guys, surf music is pretty happening these days. The kids are buying surf music. We need a surf album by 5 p.m. tonight. Lou Reed and other guys, such as Terry Phillips, don't know what the first names of Vance and Sims were. I'm sure you guys do. Somebody does out there. It was their job to go out and crank out a Beach Boys sound-alike album by 5 p.m. that night. And the result would be something like this. The Surfsiders sing the Beach Boys songbook. And I always loved this record. This record for the longest time was like a dollar bin staple. I loved it because in the best or worst intentions of labels like Pickwick and its subsidiary, and I do mean subsidiary Design, and numerous others, it was bashed out cheap, fast, cynically, and with pretty much zero regard for production values or performance values. If the band made a mistake, they left it on. If somebody forgot a line or flubbed a line, they left it on. The idea was to get it out on market immediately before these damn kids stopped buying surf records. So this thing was made under those circumstances, and it's so bad, it's good. You know what I'm talking about. This record is willfully lousy. Always loved it. Always been a part of my collection. So you can imagine how taken aback I was when my good friend Andy Crespo from Electric Eye Records up in East Hampton, Massachusetts, we ran into each other at a record show, and I was admiring one of these, and he said, "Did you know Lou Reed's on that one?" I said, "What?" He said, "Yeah, he sings and plays guitar." I was just, you got to be kidding me. You're going to tell me that one of my favorite cheese ball exploitation records just got even more interesting because Lou Reed is on it? Sure enough, I went straight home, plopped it on, and paint me white and call me a cracker, but that's Lou Reed, baby. Lou Reed on the vocals and probably playing guitar. So, what do you know? An undocumented Lou Reed Pickwick era cash-in record. So the pieces of the puzzle just got more numerous. I don't know how well they're fitting together, but all of a sudden now there's more to collect in this extremely arcane area of pre-Velvet Underground Lou Reed product. I'd always known about this one. Didn't know much about it, but it's another one on Design Records. This is the swinging teen sounds of Ronnie Dove and Terry Phillips. Now you notice I mentioned Terry Phillips earlier as being one of Lou Reed's cohorts at Pickwick Records. I guess he cut some solo sides in an effort to be the next Ronnie Dove. Whoever Ronnie Dove is, I have no idea. It's not quite so obvious on this one, but if you listen very carefully, you will hear Lou Reed. And what are my program notes? I take notes on all of these things so I can keep track of what I'm saying. There's a track on this album called Wild One, which was most likely cut at the same time as The Ostrich. A song called You, that definitely sounds like Lou Reed playing guitar. And a few others like that you could not say for 100% sure that it is, but it most likely is. Good enough for me. Swingin' Teen Sounds of Ronnie Dove. Man, Swingin' Teen Sounds with the original price tag on it from whatever dime store it was sold at. $1. And that's what I paid for it at some bargain bin, and that's, I would hope what they typically go for these days, although I'm kind of ruining the game right now by pointing out the fact that Lou Reed's on the darn thing. This is one that you used to see around a lot in the bins. Out of Sight, featuring a whole bunch of licensed dead stock tracks from Paul Revere and Lou Rawls and Tommy Rowe and, big names with some really cheesy, sleazy filler tracks thrown in, including one by the Beachnuts, a song called Cycle Annie. And all you got to do is listen to it for about 15 seconds before you hear the unmistakable voice of Lou Reed and a song that sounds remarkably like the Doug Yule era Velvet Underground. Really makes you wonder. Cycle Annie by the so-called Beachnuts. And probably the masterpiece, the pièce de résistance of these cheeseball albums was the Soundsville album, featuring the alleged sounds of England, New York, surfing, the West Coast, anything they can make a buck off of tossed onto one album. And, right off the bat, on the Sounds of England, you've got the Roughnecks, You're Driving Me Insane, which is Lou Reed on vocals and guitar playing, no denying it. And, of course, Cycle Annie, making another appearance. And scattered throughout the album, on most, if not all the tracks, the unmistakable hints of Lou Reed's guitar playing and occasional vocals. And who even knows how many more of these there are? I mean, Pickwick / Design / whatever just cranked these albums out by the ton, literally, to sell at dime stores and drug stores and truck stops all over this great land of ours. So while I was traipsing about through the rabbit hole that we call the internet, looking for information on these things, I found a reference to a record by a group called the Intimates. that was a cover of I Got a Tiger in My Tank, as found on the Soundsville album. And I was like, really? Somebody outside of the rarefied atmosphere of Pickwick actually recorded one of these songs? What the? So, had it in the back of my mind, had it on my eternal want list, and it was just another deal, flipping through the thousands of really mostly dull, boring, uninteresting records in some guy's box at a record show, when it popped up at me right there, basically jumped out at me, the Intimates. I Got a Tiger in My Tank, with the songwriting credit there, bold as brass in black and white. Reed, Vance, Sims, Phillips, and I think there's one other guy they tacked on there. Even with my peepers, I can't quite read. I can't believe it took 5 guys to write this song, you know? That's a real wonder. I've got a tiger on my tank on the A side, and a song entitled Smart Too Late on the B. It's got the same production credit, Jerry Vance. Same production company, which is ALH Productions. I have no idea what that means. The B side betrays no evidence of Lou Reed. But it's possible. You know, it's one of the things, it's just possible that he's on there. But I've Got a Tiger in My Tank? Absolutely. What makes this thing really wonderful is that it is a completely different recording from the one on Soundsville. A totally different version with Lou Reed's guitar playing a lot more prominent and his harmony vocals definitely identifiable in the mix. And this had never been bootlegged or comped or anything that I've ever seen before. So this is like a genuine score. This genuinely adds to the canon of Lou Reed's pre-Velvet Underground hack work. So I was delighted to get this. This is one of the extremely rare, if not unique, occasions where I bought 2 records in one day that did not give me any buyer's remorse whatsoever. I'm happy. I'm glad I got these things. It would qualify as a novelty track at best. But you know, I love those cheesy novelty records from the 60s too. You know, I cut my teeth on that stuff growing up. So it fits into the best of several possible worlds. And record collector's delight. Great stuff. Great stuff. Now, somebody's messaging me, and I can't read you guys' messages while I'm on air, guys. I've got to be talking tunes here. So that actually pretty much takes care of everything I wanted to talk about here on Tent Talks Tunes. The weird world of Lou Reed's absolute minimum wage session work from the early 60s before he was in the Velvet Underground. The Danbury record and CD Expo, because who knows what you'll find there digging through the stacks of records. Anything could jump out and grab you by the eyeball and present you with something that will not give you buyer's remorse. Think about it. Think about it. Of course, ANTiSEEN in Atlanta, June 22nd with Fear. Very happy about that. The 40th anniversary show at the Ground Zero in Spartanburg. 40 years of Destructo Rock. TPOS, my label, Discogs, eBay, Bandcamp, and my YouTube channel. If I haven't properly brainwashed you by now, it ain't because I didn't try. We got a late-breaking bulletin from Adam Zister saying to dedicate a whole show to the drumming of Alan Myers. Wow. That's a thing. Alan Myers, the late, and when I say great, I mean great drummer of Devo during their classic period. One of the best drummers who ever lived. That would be quite a task, Adam. I might be able to tackle that too. Quite possible. And also, regarding what I was talking about last week on Tent Talks Tunes, I had some requests for me to exhume the record collector's nightmare wall from Trash American Style. All of the damaged, destroyed, rare records that I had on display on the portico of the exit door of Trash American Style. I am going to do it. I just have to find the box where those records are. They exist. I kept them. I know basically where they are. I just got to get the pickaxe out and dig for them and get them into the fresh air and sunlight for the first time in many years. So it's going to happen. Don't know exactly when. but it's on the list of things to talk tunes about. So stay tuned. Anyway, thanks guys for tuning in. I appreciate it. Glad to have you on board as you listen to me wax rhapsodic about wax and you talk about the things I'm talking about. A lively dialogue makes for a good episode of Tent Talks Tunes, so thank you for that. It is my full intention to be back in about 167 hours. So until that time, until we meet again, this is Malcolm Tent saying so long from the Nutmeg State.